Today, we're jumping into a story that honestly, it just defies all logic. It's an epic tale about a massive, unstoppable army that was brought to its knees by a force it couldn't see and definitely couldn't fight. So that's the big question, right? How does a military superpower on the verge of an easy win get totally wiped out without a real battle even happening? The answer is, well, it's this incredible mix of faith, sheer arrogance, and a miracle so huge that the year it all went down is known forever in history as the Year of the Elephant. All right, so to get what's going on, you have to meet the villain of our story, a guy named Abraha. He was this powerful king down in Yemen who built this huge, magnificent cathedral. His big plan? To make his cathedral the center of pilgrimage for all of Arabia. But, the ancient Kaaba in Mecca was kind of in the way. So he puts together this absolutely terrifying army with one simple, brutal goal: march to Mecca and tear it to the ground. And let's just stop on this number for a second. 60,000 soldiers. We're not talking about a small raiding party here. This was a colossal force, just an overwhelming military machine built to crush anything and anyone that even thought about getting in its way. And, if 60,000 soldiers wasn't scary enough, Abraha brought out the big guns, or in this case, the big elephants. 9 war elephants with one absolute monster of a beast leading the charge. For the tribes of Arabia, this would have been an absolutely terrifying sight. It'd be like seeing modern-day tanks rolling onto an ancient battlefield. Just unreal. And this quote right here, it tells you everything you need to know about Abraha's mindset. When one of his advisors was like, hey, maybe we should be worried about resistance, he just brushes it off. He saw the people of Mecca as a bunch of merchants, not fighters. And that underestimation, that pure hubris, it's a huge piece of this puzzle. And for a while, it looked like Abraha's confidence was totally justified. His army just rolled through everything. See, the local tribes that tried to fight back, they weren't united. So a leader like Nafar, he fought bravely, but he was defeated and captured. Others just gave up. Because they fought separately, they were all easily swept aside. And pretty soon, Abraha's unstoppable army was right there on the edge of Mecca. And just to really show who's boss, Abraha's soldiers raid the area and grab a herd of 200 camels. But here's the thing. These weren't just any camels. They belonged to Abdul Muttalib, the respected leader of the Quraysh tribe and the guardian of the Kaaba. This move right here, it sets the stage for a confrontation that is just legendary. And just like that, the entire conflict shifts. It moves from the battlefield into a simple tent. Suddenly, it's not about armies and elephants anymore. It's about 2 men, 2 completely different worldviews, and a single conversation that would change the course of history. I mean, just look at this matchup. It is completely lopsided. On one side, you've got Abraha, with all the worldly power you can imagine. Soldiers, weapons, those terrifying elephants. And on the other side, Abdul Muttalib, a tribal leader whose only real power came from his role as guardian and his unshakable faith. So when Abdul Muttalib shows up to meet him, Abraha is probably expecting him to beg for the city, right? To plead for the Kaaba. But no. Abdul Muttalib makes a simple request. He wants his camels back. You can just imagine Abraha's total disbelief. He's literally there to destroy their most sacred site, the center of their faith. And this guy is worried about his livestock? And what Abdul Muttalib says next, wow. It's really the heart of this entire story. He just calmly explains his position. Look, he says, I am the Lord of the Camels. That's my responsibility. So I'm here for them. As for the house, well, it has its own Lord, and he will protect it. He's placing all his trust in a higher power, and it completely baffles this guy Abraha, who only believes in what he can see and conquer. So the meeting's over. Abraha, probably amused, definitely arrogant, gives him the camels back, totally convinced Mecca is doomed. He gets ready for the final assault. But this is where the story takes a turn that no military genius could have ever seen coming. Okay, so the scene is set. The army is all lined up in a valley right outside Mecca. The command is given to advance. The huge lead elephant is pointed straight at the Kaaba, ready to start smashing. This is it. This is the moment. And then, the impossible happens. The elephant, the army's biggest weapon, just stops, and it kneels. The soldiers are freaking out. They try everything to get it to move towards the Kaaba, but it will not budge. Then they try turning it away, maybe toward the north or south, and it gets up and starts running. But the second they turn it back to face Mecca, it kneels right back down, refusing to take a single step. The very instrument of destruction was defying its masters. So as all this chaos and confusion is spreading through the army down below, something else is happening. The soldiers, totally focused on this stubborn elephant, they don't even notice that the sky above them is changing. It must have been an unbelievable sight. Not just a few birds, but huge flocks, what the accounts call ababil, which means swarms. They just appeared, out of nowhere, darkening the entire sky. And for that mighty army on the ground, this was the beginning of the end. The details from the accounts are just astonishing. They say each little bird carried 3 tiny pebbles of baked clay. But these weren't ordinary rocks. Any soldier that was hit by one began to literally fall apart, their bodies just disintegrating. Total panic erupts. This organized military machine just turns into a screaming, fleeing mob, completely helpless against an attack they couldn't even comprehend. And what about our arrogant king, Abraha? Well, he got hit too. He managed to get away and flee, but his body was decaying as he rode. The sources say his fingertips fell off one by one. He finally made it all the way back to Yemen, where his chest supposedly split open and died. A pretty gruesome end for a man so completely consumed by his own pride. And so it all comes back to that powerful, simple statement from Abdul Muttalib. Lil bayti rabbun yahmih. The house has a Lord who protects it. In the end, his words weren't just a statement of faith. They were a prophecy. The 60,000 soldiers, their terrifying elephants, all gone. Defeated not by another army, but by the will of the Lord of the house. So what are we supposed to take away from this? This whole event really forces you to ask a pretty deep question. I mean, we usually measure power in things like armies and money and technology. But this story, it suggests there might be another kind of power out there. One you can't see, one you can't hold in your hand. But maybe, just maybe, it's the most powerful of all. This one event would cement Mecca's status as a sacred, protected place for generations to come, all because of a battle that was never actually fought.